This is the Logitech C7 Mouse from 1985. Although I'd favor to have Microsoft's 1983 green-eyed mouse as period correct accessory to my IBM PC AT, the C7 is a good match as well. The question is this 4 decades old mouse still up to the task? Retro computing is the use of older computer hardware and software in modern times. I'm the vintage collector and these are my stories. The history of pointing devices goes all the way back to 1946 with the invention of the trackball by Ralph Benjamin. Eventually, the first device remotely resembling the modern computer mouse was credited to Douglas Engelbart in 1965 and publicly demonstrated in 1968, only 2 months after the competing Rollkugelsteuerung by German company IG Telefunken had been promoted. Still far away from mainstream use, the Xerox Alto by Xerox POG was the first commercially available system sporting a mouse as of 1973. It's common fact that both Apple and Microsoft drew inspiration from the Xerox Alto design concepts. This eventually led to the arrival of graphical UIs for microcomputers during the early 80s, notably the Apple Lisa in 1983, followed by the Apple Macintosh in 1984 and the first public release of Microsoft Windows 1.0 in 1985. Even so, Microsoft had brought their own green-eyed mouse as early as May 1983. Logitech, who had just been founded in Uppel, Switzerland 2 years prior, had a successful showcase of their first P4 mouse in 1982. Securing an OEM deal to produce mice for Hewlett-Packard in 1983, Logitech quickly followed in 1985 with the C7 Mouse, aggressively priced at $99 which was half of the $199 Microsoft asked for their mouse. As you can see, the mouse I have has distinctively yellowed over the years. Although I keep repeating to never do retro brights, looking at this mouse makes me wanting to change my mind. Well, I give it a cleaning anyway. It won't make the yellowing go away, but there's some remnants of dirt I definitely want to get rid of. I'll also remove those gliders as they have seen their time. I'll organize some replacements. And I will also try to open this mouse at some point in order to replace this broken screen protector. But that's for another time, as I don't have those spare parts at hand now. And even so, I do have an original user's guide in German language for this mouse. I didn't get the original disc media. In my own archives I had this original and still sealed mouseware floppy disk, though that's for a later year's Logitech mouse. Of course, it would likely work as the Logitech mouse drivers were mostly backwards compatible, but I wanted to have a release matching my mouse. And as it seems, both release 4, but also this one here, version 3.41 from 1987 that I found on winworldpc.com should work. And the latter even has some artwork included, which makes me confident it should work along with my mouse. So let's recreate the disk media. As you see from the image size, this is a 360K 5¼ inch floppy disk image. And while those disks can easily be read on the PC AT's 1.2 MB drive, one should not write to low density disks using a high density drive because of the different magnetization levels. So I'll be using my PCXT to dump that image file onto the floppy disk. But first I have to connect the mouse. As this one is a serial mouse, it's as easy as connecting it to the COM1 serial port on the backside. Logitech also offered a bus mouse, which brought its own add-in card with a mini-DIN connector. With the mouse all wired up, I'm ready for installing the mouse driver, which is as easy as running install off the floppy disk. It will offer to run a test program up front, which is all CLI based. Also interesting to note how the installer can be controlled using the mouse. What better showcase could there be than this, not only for me to see my 40 years old mouse still works, but even so for the typical PC users 40 years ago. Once installed, I'll end up with the c:\mouse directory, but also a gomouse.bat batch file in the root directory. This would load the mouse driver and the DOS menuing system. But as the printed manual I have doesn't match the used software version, I was stuck at getting it to work. I eventually found it out by reading this one here and retrying inside the 86 box emulation how exactly the menus are called up. I don't know if someone truly used this. It's a nice proof of concept, but I personally prefer something like Norton command over this one. But at least you could fully customize this to your own needs. That's also worth something. Speaking of demos, I also found this very old version of PC Paintbrush, which was bundled along with early versions of the Microsoft mouse. And it was furtherly licensed for inclusion with Microsoft Windows, but we'll see that soon enough again in a follow-up episode. PC Paintbrush was however not limited to compatibility with the Microsoft mouse, but also worked just fine with the Logitech C7 mouse and of course other PC mice. Said that, with the C7 mouse confirmed working, I'm almost ready for my next venture, but first I need to care for the PC AT keyboard. So here's a PC AT restoration journey bonus for today. As mentioned on my previous episode, I didn't get the matching AT keyboard for my machine at first, but luckily the pre-owner eventually found it and had it sent to me. So here it is, the AT Type F keyboard, which definitely needs a cleaning. And also fix that broken cable strain protector along the way. Now, if you have been following my channel recently, you may have observed my post that I had fallen victim to a brushing fraud scam. For those unaware, in a brushing fraud, someone is creating fake accounts in your name, for example with Amazon, and then sending you random items from their store. This creates artificial sales, while at the same time opening the opportunity for the scammers to write fake reviews with the goal of boosting their shop ratings. Long story short, I received a lot of undesired crap, amongst of which were no less than 15 portable washing machines. Now, I didn't have a use case for those until now, because instead of rinsing and brushing the keycaps myself, I thought it might be worthwhile to throw them just inside one of those portable washing machines. I put also a towel inside, so there's some soft abrasive effect, and let it run for a while. Ouch! The drain has become disgustingly yellowed. So the cleaning procedure did actually work, with a clearly visible difference. But the keyboard error is not so promising. Even so I could convince it to boot, I found not all keys fully working. Even the PC AT diagnostics bailed out immediately with a keyboard error. So I found myself removing the keycaps again and reinserting them one by one. Ultimately, most worked again, except for 3 keys, which I found the springs to be a bit worn out. The correct fix would be to replace them, but that's not so easy, as it requires to fully disassemble the keyboard. Check out this old video of mine for that experience. Especially the reassembly is terribly fumbly, and I don't want to go down that route at the moment, as it just means lots of swearing. Instead, I tried a hack which may or may not last. I simply cut off the head of a cotton swab and inserted it beside the spring to stabilize it. This little trick made the 3 keys working again. I'm sure it won't last for eternity and I will have to ultimately disassemble the entire keyboard and replace the springs. Yeah, I'm eagerly looking forward to that one. But for now it's good enough to continue my mission, which is to explore Windows 286 on the IBM PC AT. How about you? Were you part of the younger generations where mice had already become a commodity, or did you witness the introduction of mice during the 80s era firsthand? Let me know in the comments below. I'm the Vintage Collector and this was my story for today. Thanks for watching and see you again next Sunday. Next on the Vintage Collector, people had complained as Microsoft introduced numerous different editions for Windows XP onwards, but that was actually no new thing. Even in the 80s, Microsoft differentiated between Windows 286 and Windows 386, and even a Windows runtime version that came bundled with some early application programs that did not require Windows 2.x to be separately installed.